It should pop up on my computer, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it just now went live. But anyway, I've got Angie, Snow White Bigfoot. She's gracing us with her presence tonight. We're going to talk some boogers. What's been going on, Angie?
Well, it's been kind of slow up until that past Sunday when Annabelle was here, but then yesterday morning something happened on the porch, so they're back for sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool what happened with you and that bulb, that iris bulb or whatever that was.
Yeah, I was just now reading the link that you sent me, and that's what's pretty interesting that they used it. I think I read it. They used it for cordage. I'm gonna read it again, but they used the roof for cordage or something like that, and I can't remember what all it was. I'd have to look again.
Yeah, it does have some medicinal value, but it can kill you if you eat it raw, I think, so don't eat it raw.
I haven't planned on eating it. I think I'm going to plan it and see what it does. And, yeah, see what it... I don't know. People saying it's an iris flower, which I don't know. I've been working on the house today, so I haven't really had a chance to look it up or anything. But there's been a lot of comments about that.
So, yeah, I was looking at that. That would be good. And then if they gave it to you for sure, that'll be a nice gesture.
Yeah, well, it was wedged in the crack of the tree where the possum was, so I figured.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't see where you'd put the possum, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I stuck it out there in the tree with the all the deer skulls and stuff. I guess the gift tree or whatever. I'm thinking about moving the picnic table over there. Making like a place right there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but it's been pretty slow around here. I actually got off the phone with a guy a few minutes ago, and he's from over around the Daniel Boone National Forest in Kentucky. And he was, I guess he watched one of Carrie's shows, the Bigfoot Odyssey shows, and got in touch with Carrie, and Carrie put him in touch with me. He only lives like a little bit over an hour away from me, further out west. But some of the stories he told me was pretty cool. I'm trying to get him to come on and talk about it. But you know how it is whenever you first. I mean, he's just now finding out that Bigfoot's real, and you know he's not totally there. You know what I'm saying? About like I was for 2 years. So, I mean, it's only been going on. Yeah, it's only been going on a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he was always like, well, I'm about 99% convinced, but I just still need to see one.
Yeah.
But he did, so.
Jeremy Harrison's in the chat, and the guy actually lives over there close to Jeremy. I sent him a message a while ago. You might see it. I might try to go over there whenever it warms up some. But it's been slow here too. I mean, it's been in a couple of weeks and absolutely nothing that I noticed had happened.
I know, it was just dead here. I mean, I put the recorder out. I think it was 1 or 2 nights, and there's just absolutely nothing on it. So they went somewhere, I think, to wait out the weather.
I mean, we've talked about it before, like whenever there's snow on the ground. I know y'all had a lot of snow up your way, right? I've only found 1 time, no 2 times, that they've come here whenever there's been snow on the ground. And it was just patchy snow then, you know, just where the sun hadn't hit and melted it. Yeah. And I guess they had to get there to hit my window with a rock. Sneaky buggers. Yeah, I've only seen one in the yard just once in the snow. It was those little ones that were possible juvenile ones that had the coyote prints beside it. Yeah, I remember that. And then down in the field just below our house, I saw a trackway
but not in the yard. And that was whenever the one that I found in the field was the day after I had heard the owl sound come from right down there. So I went down to look around, and there was a trackway.
Right.
But I believe that's the only good ones I found.
Yeah, and I think it's just where they're highly aware of their tracks. I mean, even whenever I go out and I'll find tracks or whatever and start tracking them, you notice that they step right next to trees or down trees, logs, or they step beside of them and or on rocks or whatever. But I think it's they know that they leave tracks. I mean, they're pretty smart.
Yeah. I haven't been down to the lake to check. I need to do that.
Yeah, I've been meaning to
It's
go
been
to this lake
probably
too.
about 2-3 weeks since I went down and looked.
Yeah.
When are you gonna go to that neighbor guy?
I'm gonna try
Check that
tomorrow.
out.
I thought about going today, but where they got a kid, I figured the kid's in school and it's Friday. He probably works, and so I figured tomorrow would be a better day. I need to go that way anyway to stop by Uncle Bob's because I've been putting up trim work here in the house and I need to run some stuff through a planer and I don't have one.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That structure that you were just showing right there, that twist. I've got one almost exactly like that we found where Jim works on that video, the dumpster video where we went and looked around.
Right.
Looks almost exactly like that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to jump on here and talk about was the structures and until we started talking and asked if you'd come on, but yeah, a lot of these structures are older pictures that I took because for whatever reason I need to quit doing that. I just go around video and everything now, and I don't have any still pictures. And I ought to take more still pictures.
I have learned how to take a picture from a video, which is a good thing because a lot of times I forget to take a picture at the time. And then I kick myself later. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, well, you're good at editing videos anyway. I don't have the patience for all that.
Yeah, I'm still learning though.
Yeah.
Got a lot to learn.
Well, whenever you quit learning, let me know, and I'll tell you go ahead and give up. Yeah.
I'll be the big brain. You can just call and I'll tell you whatever you need to know.
Ah, yes, finally an expert. But in the brakes, I looked for a twist. Was yours the one that you found twisted?
Oh yeah, it was twisted around real.
We found well. There's several
like
structures, several of them down there at your place.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get back to that. But I mean, that's what I look for. Like in the brakes, is the twist. And then you'll get weavings, and I thought I had a picture in here of weaving. If I can find it. But I mean, a lot of stuff could be natural. I don't even know what these pictures here are. This is older pictures. This is one that it'll pop up here on the screen in a minute. That one that I was working in the garden and they got my attention, and I went up there and they had all the leaves stuck down in the crack of the.
Oh man,
That was
I love
pretty
that.
crazy.
That's just wild.
Yeah, and there's like an older log placed on top of it, and then an X down at the bottom of it. Right there's the full picture of it all.
Yeah.
And all the green leafy things were stacked at the bottom of the tree. I mean, shouldn't they be at the top of the tree? And it was broke over. I don't think that one actually had a twist to it or anything.
And now is that forming a T? Like what I'm looking at right
now. Hang on. Yeah, kind of. This log here, I'm not even sure where it came from because there wasn't no place on the ground and it didn't grow there. There was no root there to it. So I think they took it, broke this over, and placed it on top.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seems to me there was a place that was kind of flattened out there. And then what was so wild about it was all the little leaves they'd stuck in the crack of the tree. Let me find that again. Right there, that's crazy. I mean, they're all
That just
perfectly
doesn't
placed
happen
in
by
there.
itself.
Yeah,
And squirrels didn't do it.
right.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty neat. I'm trying to find where it's at on this big picture. I think it was up here in this area, away from the. But this is the top of the tree right here. Down here at the, toward the bottom of the tree. That's all the limbs out of it.
Hmm.
And this was back in the summer. I was working in the garden whenever all this was going on.
Yeah.
But the twist is what I look for, and then the weaving. That's what I couldn't believe. I don't have a good picture of weaving.
I think I remember you having one before.
I do too.
Unless it was a video, I might be thinking of a video.
This was kind of weed, and this was pretty neat. This is whenever I was building the hunting shack, and they had pulled this right down in the trail, and we weaved this through. You can kind of tell it's not a very good picture, but you can kind of tell where that limb's weaved around it there. It's old dead sticks, and this was not a dead limb that had been pulled down right in front of the trail where I couldn't miss it. And
Yeah, that's really cool.
there's all the time doing stuff on that trail. Every trip that I would come back, there'd be something new.
Where was that?
Up on where I got that hunting shack at. I was building the shack, and I mean, no matter if I was gone 10 minutes or a day, every time I would come back through there, there was something new.
Mm.
Right on the trail, right beside the trail. There's another twist.
What's the best one, like, that you, like, if you could just pick one picture that you could keep forever, and that would be your best one, which one would it be?
That one.
Yeah,
That's my first one.
this one right here?
Yeah, that's probably the first one. That's what I hung. My tree stand was over here on the right side, like maybe 10 yards down the hill, and this wasn't here. And I came back, and this was here. This was, you can't really tell, but right here in the middle is another limb on it. Let me blow it up some. This little Y limb on it is the one that I kept sticking leaves down on, and then they would take the leaves off, and I finally ended up tying a little orange piece of fabric on it. They took it off. But if I didn't get a very good picture of it. Oh yeah, there it is. See how it's stuck down in the root of this tree? I mean, it was wedged down in that too.
Oh, neat.
That was part of it.
Yeah, that is a good one. Wow.
And then over here is more of it. Then they had little sticks, and that's the apple I stuck up there for them. But this is
Now,
I
is
stuck.
this, was that when you had the peanut butter incident?
Yeah, yeah. Where that apple was at, I wedged a jar of peanut butter down in that, had the lid on it and everything, and came back, and the jar of peanut butter was sitting over on my tree stand, which I don't know. I ain't got a picture of that either. It's kind of frustrating that I didn't take pictures of a lot of things that happened around here. But I still
Yeah.
wasn't sure what was going on. I mean, even back then, I was thinking, well, that was I don't know what I was thinking. A human came and ate peanut butter that they found in the tree, but it was sitting back on the tree stand upright with the lid on, and only like a third of it was left. It looked like a dirty finger or a stick or something maybe was poked down in it to get the peanut butter out of it.
Oh, yeah.
But
I
since
had,
then, every time I put up a tree stand, well, not every time, but a lot of the times I put up a tree stand, they'll build something around it.
well, that's what we found down at the lake not too long ago in some of those lake videos where we went and was checking out that area. There was that one place where the guy had a tree stand, and like all around it, there was breaks and like sticks stuck in the ground, all kinds of stuff all around it. Arches.
Yeah,
It's like they
I
mark
remember that.
around them for some reason.
I've heard a lot of people say like the X's are a territorial thing, and I think there might be something to that just because they put that X there, and I found a couple more X's since then. Actually, another tree stand I put up had an X next to it, but the rest of them are mostly they look more like what I call heel box with the bent over trees, just like little weaves and stuff in the around it.
Have you found, like, on our property, I noticed that, like, certain areas, like, each area will have an X in it, a pretty good, significant sized X. Have you found that?
Yeah, I found some of them, but I don't know. It's hard to say about some of them because trees for the most part grow straight up, and if they fall, there's only so many patterns they can form. And they
Mm-hmm.
definitely fall and it's natural. But uh, I think there's something to it on the X's. I don't know what they mean. I guess nobody knows what they mean, but maybe humans come here, or this is my neck of the woods, or anything like that. Who knows? But yeah,
I
I
know I
found
found
them.
one bordering, like, it was in an area that was, it looked like they had been in there a lot because there's a lot of structures. It was like cleared out. But right at the edge where it got really thick was an X. And it was not just something that could have naturally happened because it had the one that was kind of leaning on the tree, and then it had another one leaning against it that wasn't, it didn't come from anywhere. It had to be placed there. So
Right.
I thought that was kind of interesting that it was right at the edge of a really thick area.
Well, sometimes I'll show you. I'm gonna show you this one first, though. But look how this one is split and around this tree, and it's wedged in there pretty tight. And then this other limb is leaned up against the whole thing. Which, I mean, what's the chances of that happening? I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
has to be pretty slim. But this, let me find it. This one, and again, it's not a very good angle, but it's stuck up in these trees and the crooks of these two little saplings. And at the time, this sapling over here, if that had pretty good weight to it. If that would have fell, it would have broke that. But it was right above where I built the boogering shack, and I don't, I call them hangers for, I don't know, that's just what I call them. But I think that might
Mm-hmm.
mean I've noticed those around the house too, and I think it means do not cross, or I don't know. Like I said, you can only speculate what they mean. But I noticed these
Wisp
around
Babs
houses.
in the chat, Wisp Babs says, "What do you guys think about triangles?" The, they see a lot of those. I see a lot of those too. A lot around here.
Yeah, you get a lot of glyphs over at your place, different ones. I mean, I found a few here, but not. I don't know. You're way more observant than I am. I think was what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what they mean, but they sure do like to make them here. Now, have you found anything like, how it seems like, especially when this all first started for me, I'd go out in the woods and I'd find these crazy Y sticks, like they would look similar in shape and size, and the bark would be off some of them, and so I started getting the idea that they used the Y stick maybe as their clan symbol, and then they gifted me some
Yeah, I remember.
specifically, so
You was on
then
a
that was
Y kick for a
confirmed it
while.
to me. But I
Yeah,
was wondering if you think there's any symbol that your clan might use like that.
dead rodents or deer, maybe. But nothing I've really noticed. Like I don't know that. I don't know. Mine always bring dead critters here.
Well, are there any stick formations that you've noticed more than the rest?
Not like the glyph type deals, like you're talking about. But I don't know. I look for more things. I think the structures have to mean something, and I think a lot of them are just for hunting purposes and maybe territorial purposes, like the one I'm showing now. This log, I have no idea where this came from. It didn't break out. I mean, that's a full size tree, and where it came from, I have no idea. But I mean, imagine that log probably weighs. I mean, I don't even got the whole thing in the picture, but it
Mm-hmm.
probably weighs what 6, 7, 800 pounds. And just for a man or a two me probably couldn't even do that.
Yeah. Now that reminds me of the one that I found. You know, the trailer at the back of our property.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And then if you go down the hill a little bit, there's an area where there was an X and brake, and then we were down in there, and I was looking and came upon this tree that had a fork in it, and there was a log jammed up in the middle of that fork, and it was just like completely straight up and down, vertical, stuck in that fork of that tree. And it was like, what the heck? And there was nowhere that it came from.
Right.
You know, it's like, what? And me and Jim were both like, what in the world? And then about 15 feet from that was a really twisted break. And then about 15 feet from that was a really nice arch. So that was all like right there in that one little area.
Yeah, it's like you walk through acres of woods and not see, hardly anything or this or that. But then you get to an area that just looks like, they went wild in there making stuff. I think, like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with hunting and like an obstacle course, or maybe to divert a deer's attention going through there, and has to be careful of how it's walking through an area. And then a lot of times I'll find a blind there. So, but I mean, like the one I'm showing now, that's the top of a tree and it's being cut, and this is the base of a tree. But I don't see, I don't think the loggers would have done this. I mean, why would they have done this?
Yeah.
There's no other cut trees around here. They just went through and did what you call select logging, and would cut, just the good trees and leave the rest of them there. The good straight trees, good board trees, or whatever. But this was the top is all in it, and this is after we had camped out one night and heard the bush talk and all that crazy stuff, and was followed. That's down in this area where I got that picture. I think might be a booger. I'd have that one in here too. But
I think that when they take those, like a big log, like you were showing, and they put it up somewhere, or, it will show their strength.
Right.
So I think it's a good possibility that it's like, hey, there's a big, strong male here, and,
like
take note.
Like black bears will find a good straight tree and they'll reach up as high as they can and claw it. And that, telling other bears, look how big I am. I can reach up this far. I'm a big guy. And then another one might come by that's bigger and he'll reach up there and claw it and say, hey, I'm bigger. I think that's got something to do with it. An alpha male saying, look how strong I am.
Yeah, and like those really big breaks that you find that are really high up and like a huge, like 6 inches through or something. It's like, that might be a show of strength too.
Yeah. The one I'm showing now, this is after we was camping up on the ridge line where the ever changing structure is, and that's another thing. The structure was, I don't even think I've got a picture of that. I need to take more pictures. But every time I would go up there, it would have something added to it or took away. I mean, pine cones, and there's no pine trees there. It's crazy. But whenever we was camping, whenever I heard the bush talk, and it was just a crazy night. We heard all kinds of stuff. Before I even thought about starting a YouTube channel or anything. But we would walk down here to pee. And this is a couple of weeks later. I went back up there, and this tree was not like this. I mean, it looks like a stick of dynamite went off. And there was no big storms or anything. And all the leaves have fallen now because we camped out early October, I think. This was a couple of weeks later before deer season, rifle season. But it looked like a bomb went off in that tree. And I think it's where we was down there peeing. Because there is another structure in behind it. I know I got it all on video. I mean, the strength to do that to a tree is just crazy.
Yeah, I think they must have been letting you know, no, you ain't marking this territory because we're here.
So, I mean, it makes you think, does the alpha male, mark territory by peeing on stuff?
It could be.
See, this is kind of a weed type deal. This tree here came around the back side of this tree, then came around to this tree and was pulled back over this way. And this is we was being followed that day whenever I took this picture. And there's the little guy in the background. And there's actually
That's what I was
another
gonna say.
tree
That's
back
the one
there.
where you got the picture one, isn't it?
Yeah. I went back up there and took more pictures of it. I might have that up there to see if anything was there. Try to get the same angle and everything on it. And nothing was there in it. It's a couple weeks later, but about the same lighting and all that.
Hey, I want to say hello to Anna. Now tell me if I'm saying this right. Annalise Wade. She said, Snow, I love the video of your grand, so cute. And I'm going to be using her name in a video, so I was wondering if that's how you say it. So let me know. Type me a
Annalise Wade.
comment. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing more work on that video, right?
Yeah, on that one. This is one of the encounter videos I was going to do.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, she's little young and so cute. And that was odd the way she reacted to the what kind of grass was it? Pampas grass.
Yeah. And what a lot of people don't understand with that pampas grass is it's not just a little patch of grass.
Yeah.
It's like 8 feet through, and it is thick, really thick.
Did you ever get to look inside of it to see if there's like a mashed down spot or anything in it?
No, I should go out there and kind of crawl in it or something, or try to.
Yeah.
You know what was really weird though? And I suppose it could have been any animal, but one night we were out there having a fire, and my stepson was gathering some of those to burn, the dead ones, and he found some with, and it was that one too. It looked like blood on several of them. So I don't know what that was,
Does that have like jagged edges on the grass, like a?
It can be kind of sharp and
yeah,
stuff.
I thought, because I got some out here by the swings.
And that's one reason I don't really want to go try to get in there, because it's like, oh my gosh. But now, like in the summer, whenever they're green and stuff, they're more pliable and easier to get in, or bend or whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, they can go through stuff we wouldn't even consider.
Oh,
I've heard some experiences of them just going through briars and everything else, and like they don't even care.
Right. They must have a tough hide on them. I mean, they have to have a tough hide on them. I mean, yeah, that's, some of the stuff, like briars, all right, if you're going through a briar, there's a certain way you can't go through them and not get stuck as much. But, there's tangled mess too. But, like deer and, other critters like that can walk right through them. No problem.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Speaking of briars, how about that 3-year-old? Let's talk about that a little bit. The 3-year-old lost boy that was in the briars.
North Carolina. Yeah, that's kind of weird, ain't it? And they had searched the area. Somebody sent me some info on it in like a screenshot of the area that he was found in, and they had searched that area a few times.
I really think that it's a good possibility that they put that little boy in there so that he would stay put and they would find him. That's my guess.
I've seen places that looks like a playground, for like a better term, where the trees are being over. It's not really a kill box. It just looks. Whenever we was young lads, we would go up in the hills and we would like go down the mountainside and hang off of trees, and they'd bend over and we'd see who could make it the furthest down the hill without touching the ground by riding the trees down like that. Some places I go to, it kind of looks like that, and then you'll see like a little place that looks like it was built up as a crib or something.
Yeah, I've been in areas around here that kind of makes you feel like this is some kind of a little playground or something. There'll be like trees all up and down, and just like wow. Looks like a playground.
So you think they sucked the youngin in that so that he wouldn't go nowhere?
Yeah,
And it was
because
freezing cold
he
weather.
wasn't very far from. I mean, that lady heard him hollering, so they took him to where he could be found pretty easy, but he couldn't get away again. Wander off the wrong direction or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta think how a 3-year-old kid would think, and if it was a booger, then they might relate it to a bear because
Oh yeah,
doubtful they're going to know what a Bigfoot is. But
right.
a lot of bears are in hibernation in that part of the country, this part of the country. However, like a mother bear, for instance, would probably stay in her place. And, bears will seek out shelters. They'll even build their own shelters to hibernate in. But they will come out during the wintertime. And whenever they come out, they're going to eat. So, I mean, I hate to sound malicious or whatever, but I think if a bear came out and found a little 3-year-old kid, that would be dinner.
Yeah, I mean,
What else
when I
is there to
first
eat?
heard that, I was like, oh yeah, right, a bear. And then you just immediately go to, I bet that was a Bigfoot. Because, well, like Thinker Thunker was saying in that video, there's just so many accounts of where that's happened.
Right.
They take care. I remember that one, there was a family camping, and I think his little 7-year-old boy wandered off. See, he was old enough to say what happened. He said that a female Bigfoot found him and took him by the hand and led him back to his campsite. And so she pretty much saved him. And he told exactly what happened.
What was that now? I don't think I've heard that one.
Yeah, I can't remember where I've read that or seen it. But this little, I think he was 7 years old. They were camping, and he wandered off into the woods and got lost. And I can't remember all the details about it, but a female Bigfoot found him and took him by the hand and led him back to his campsite where his family was.
Yeah. Huh. Well, you hear that. What was it? Albert Ostman? I think that's the one that got picked up in his sleeping bag.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you hear all kinds of. There's all kinds of different stories out there of that happening. So, yeah, I don't buy that it was a bear at all. I think the bear would have ate the kid. It's not going to keep it warm, or if it was maybe a dog or something, then surely the kid would know a dog. If he knows what a bear is, he would know what a dog is.
Right. No, it had to be something big and furry.
Yeah, yeah. It would be interesting to hear the kid's tale. You know what I mean? Uh, hear what he's telling his parents now,
Yeah.
because even if even if he would have said it's a Bigfoot or anything like that, they're not going to say that on the news. They're going to say it's a bear. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Or they'd be like, oh no, what you seen was a bear. Maybe that's what they told him. Maybe he did say it was something else, and they said no, it's probably just a bear. But bear makes no sense to me at all, especially this time of the year coming out of hibernation.
There was a news story on the internet. Was it you that sent me that, or did I find it? It was a story about it being a Bigfoot, and that there were a lot of experts, quote, quote, that were saying that that's what they thought it was. So there was a kind of a news story, but not. Maybe if I can find it, I'll send it to you. I think I sent it to Jim, so it's probably a messenger. So I can.
Yeah, I don't.
What do you got there?
I was looking up beetle infestations. It seems like over in the Rockies and stuff, they're getting eat up by it. There's a lot of fires and stuff, but it's a good example of how things fall naturally. Like the trees are falling naturally. That one even looks like a teepee back there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, stuff like that. I would think that was natural. I don't see what the point would be in building a teepee that isn't going to protect you from the rain or anything like that.
Well, I do think some of those are built by Bigfoot, but I think some are, like you're saying, natural, and some are probably made by people. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to, like that little. Well, it wasn't little. The one we found down in the woods here. I mean, there'd be. It was made of 3 logs or whatever you want to call it, but there'd be no reason for that to be down there for a human or any. That was odd. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people into that bushcraft and stuff now too. There's all kinds of channels on it. They'll go out and build shelters and stuff. But that's why it's nice to actually live where I go boogering. I know that other people haven't been back there doing anything.
Right, that's what I like about here too. Because like when we go to the lakes or whatever, it's public ground, and it's like you have to think twice or 3 times about something that maybe you wouldn't have to think about as much here. Because, yeah.
I was going to look that up, but it makes my computer buffer. Oh well. There's Miss Vicky. So the boogers are back at your place too.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. They're in sync. They came back here. I was talking to the guy earlier, and it's kind of funny. Bailey started barking, and she's got a couple different barks. One of them's like a go away bark, and then another one's like her happy bark. And she was doing her happy bark, and I walked out there, and I thought I heard a thump and a whistle. And I was still talking to the guy on the phone, and about that time, he said that he heard a thump. So he started walking out uh, to the garage to go out the garage and look. And he said about that time the garage door opened and it was his wife getting home and it scared the crap out of him. But he's worried about her, and I guess they've got a grandkid living with them. I think he said a young grandkid living with him. He's worried about them. I basically told him about game cameras, and he was talking about trying to give him food and stuff, which I highly discouraged him from doing that. And if he does do it, don't do it around his house. If he has to do it, then give him natural stuff like apples and such. But don't make them think of him as a food source.
Yeah.
But he's recently had a duck go missing. He's got ducks and chickens and an inside dog, and he keeps all his feed on the inside, so that's good.
I've put apples and fruit out in the basket, and for a while they'll take it, but then sometimes they just could care less. I mean, usually they care less about it. They just leave it. I had to throw so many apples down over the hill because they got rotten,
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, a lot of times they don't even mess with it. And then another thing, you can't really tell if like a squirrel or anything else could be taking it, unless you find tracks.
Yeah, well, I tried to get it so.
Yeah, you got yours hanging in a basket, don't you?
Yeah, off the gutter, so it's too high off the ground for anything to reach. I don't think anything could get to it, really. I suppose it wouldn't be totally impossible, but it'd be really, really hard. Because it's 5 feet from the ground and hanging from the gutter. And not easy, you can't, get to it from the sides either.
Right. But, I mean, basically I told him that they come down here and they'll rob my garden or the berry bushes or apple trees and stuff like that. And I don't know. I just told him what to be on the lookout for, but he's already, he's just really in the past couple months. I think he recently moved down there, and he's just now finding out that they're real. And it's he's in the stage where it's blowing his mind, which you kind of never get out of that stage. But whenever you
Yeah.
first realize what you're dealing with, it's pretty trippy.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets. I mean, things happen now that Jim and I will both be like, oh, yeah, that was them, and you do kind of get used to it. But then there's still things that happen that'll just go, what? Your mind just goes blown. Still, I mean, something happened. Wait, was it? Yeah, yesterday morning. It's like, oh my,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It's like,
I don't know why I'm saying bad string house. Yeah, they do some trippy things, and that's what I was telling him. I was like, man, don't underestimate them. I said, whatever you do, respect them, don't underestimate them, and don't trust them. Because, I mean, they're still a wild creature, right? And
right.
even, just like you don't trust any stranger, a wild thing. I mean, it's basically the same thing. And I told him basically to talk to him and let him know that, this is mine, that's yours out there. And I mean, I don't know. I haven't had him hit the house or really, act ugly around here in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because of the boundaries that's been set, and the game
Yeah.
cameras sure do help a lot.
I got a question on here from Lane Goodspeed. He says, Snow, one of your vids has stuck in my mind. The one where the print's on the window frame inside the screen. They must have taken the screen off and then put it back. And yeah, I know what he's talking about. Inside, between the screen and the window, there were three, they took their finger and made three arches with it. And I saw that, and then I noticed that the screen was up just a little bit on the one side.
Yeah.
So I think what happened was that they opened the screen and did that and then put it back, but didn't get it all the way down on the one side. So, because you can,
Yeah, it had like three
from the
marks on it,
outside.
didn't it?
Huh?
It had three marks on it, right? And
Yeah.
that was your bedroom window too, which is creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy told me that they had messed with his door also. He's got like a sliding glass door, and they left prints on his door.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of got him freaked out too.
Yeah.
Which that is freaky. Like the time they pushed the window in here, I didn't like that at all, and that's why the camera went back up and it's staying up.
That was just nuts.
Yeah, I think they was messing with the dog that was in here.
Um,
But yeah, I don't like that. But so that's why the camera's there, and camera's up in the barn, and the camera out here on the porch.
do you think they were ever in your house?
Nah, I don't think they was ever actually in the house, which they could get in here really easy. The back door don't even lock very good. I've got to
Of
push
course,
it
you
to
might not
close
even
it real
know
good.
if they were in there too.
You you definitely wouldn't know right now. I've got everything cluttered up where I fixed up the bedroom and putting trim. I've got stuff drug out everywhere. I worked half the day just to get stuff out of the way so I could put the trim work up in the bedroom. But after that, I should be fine. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like they're prints, and you keep seeing this like Pam. Whenever they were down here and in their camper and had the baby prints on her window, they was just like the woolly looking, and the prints that you found's been woolly looking, and that guy even mentioned it. He said it looked like they had WD-40 on their hands or
Yeah.
something.
And I mean, like when a human leaves a fingerprint or handprint, oil is what makes a fingerprint. I asked my stepson that's a sheriff about that and stuff, and he was like, yeah,
Yeah,
but it's not nearly that thick or that much of
right.
it.
Yeah, I mean, we secrete oils for sure, but we, bathe regularly. At least some people do. But
Hey, you got a question from Asher Hall. If you want to answer it, I don't know.
yeah, I seen it.
Okay.
That
Okay, I'll
stuff
let you
went
run things in.
stuff went stuff went on here for a couple of years, and I mean this is before I started the YouTube. It basically started in 2014 here. Whenever we had our logging done and stuff was going on, and I was, at first I thought it was people, and then I kind of got an inkling whenever one screamed at me. That's another thing that guy told me that did like the same exact scream that the ones did up here with a hoo at the end of it. And he said, because I described that scream to him, because he said one of them screamed and then did a whoop. And I said, well, I kind of had something like that happen to me. And it screamed just like a real long. And I said, you could feel it. And then it went hoo afterwards. And I was trying to think, well, is that what was that? A mountain lion with a stupid owl in a tree next to it or something? And then I went up there and found the track the next day. And then that's whenever I thought, well, something's going on. The track was pretty big. I think it's close to 17 inches, the one that I found. And that's whenever I started looking, like going into work and sneaking, like whenever I would go to somebody's house that had a computer, I'd get on there and look up different things. And yeah, that was my first inkling of what I was dealing with. And then even like over a year after that, and I know you can attest to it, I was, I wasn't 100% that they were even real then. After, and a bunch of stuff had happened.
I
Remember
got
the
a
night?
question for you. Well, go ahead whenever you're done.
Remember the night that we was talking? I think we was on Messenger or something talking, and one ran across my porch.
Yeah.
I mean, even after that, I was still questioning it. I mean, I was thinking, well, was that a cow? What the heck was that?
I still wonder what that was. This was back a few months ago, and we were coming back from the lake, and I looked down. There's a spot in the road where if you look down, you can see our front yard. And I saw what looked like two black cows in the front yard. I was like, why are there two black cows in the front yard? And then we got down here, and then there was nothing there. I'm like, oh, kind of wish we just stopped and looked now.
Right. Yeah, I've had like one time I was going to work, and there's a structure. It's still up there right now. And I was going out to work, which went out the driveway, just happened to, out of the corner of my eye, glance up there. And before it registered in my brain, I'd already went, another 10 yards or whatever in the truck. And I stopped and I was like, well, what was that? And went back. And because I was thinking it was a stump or something. At first, I went back and it wasn't even there. So what was that? I mean, it was huge too, because that's kind of what it caught my eye because it shouldn't have been there. There's no big stump up there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
That's
gone
kind of
whenever
what
I went
happened
back.
to Jim when he was coming home from work, coming down the driveway. He saw something off to the, see, it would be his left, and down by the spring area, standing there, something black. And he watched it for, a little bit, and he looked down to get his phone to take a picture of it, and then it was gone. So, kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
I just wish one would just step out and let me get, a nice look at it.
I know.
That would be so great. I mean, why beat around the bush, boogers? Let's do this. Step out.
That's what
I want to see you. It's not very fair that you get to hide all the time and be sneaky, but I can't.
I was looking through the video where Annabelle was looking in that grass and stuff, going frame by frame and, looking for faces and stuff. It's like, I said to Jim, why do they have to be like this? Why can't we just see them?
I mean, that is it's a good question. Why? I mean, they go through extreme lengths to stay hidden, but yet they'll come and move your stuff around on you. And that's another thing that guy talked about. Move your stuff around on you, make you run around like a crazy person looking for something just to go back to where you've already looked 5 times and it's sitting right there in plain sight. Switch things out on you like a hammer or your dog food bowls, stuff like that. I mean, why they go through all that to let you know that they're around or scream at you or anything? but then stay hidden. I mean, what is it about them staying hidden?
I think it's just something programmed into them when they were created. Just, it's part of their makeup.
Yeah, Asher
It's
just
what they.
said they're counting coup, and that's what I told that guy. But I mean, but and I understand that. I get that. They want a reaction. I mean, we're basically their entertainment. They want a reaction. That's why they do some of this crazy stuff. And it is kind of like counting coup, like the Native Americans did. But I mean, I guess it's fun and games to them, or I don't. Sometimes they do it like they're paid to do it. I mean, just they really mess with you. They'll send you one way only to do a noise the other way and misdirect you and get you running around like a crazy person.
Yeah, well, I've thought that they will stay. I mean, staying hidden is just their thing. It's what they do. It's like besides eating, keeping themselves alive physically, that's their number one priority. And but once they know that they're there, then they really start the interaction, like messing with you more and stuff. At least that's what I've found. So it's almost like they enjoy the doing that kind of stuff.
Right. But I mean, I don't know. It is, and I understand some people's views that y'all have to understand. Whenever this is happening around your house, uh, I mean, it does get crazy, and you think about it, and you got to look at everything differently. And no, not everything is Bigfoot, and I'm sure Angie would agree with that. Not everything is
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot, but you have to. They do subtle things, and you have to look at it.
Yeah, really
To
subtle sometimes.
Yeah, to really try to get into their heads and what they're thinking, you have to look at it. Like she was talking about the Y sticks and stuff. Those turn up a lot around her and her property. I mean, they will go. The little birds that I seen her were carved into Y sticks, and that was my thoughts. I hadn't even seen those to her, but they'll place those on there, and they have to have some kind of meaning. What they mean, we don't know, but there is some kind of meaning to it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, me and Jim, not like super long ago, were walking in the woods, um, way over on the east side, and just it was stuck. Somehow it was stuck to the side of a tree. This really cool Y stick. I think it had the bark off too. Can't remember for sure, but it was definitely a different color from the tree. And it was like stuck to the side. I was like, oh my. That was awesome. That just doesn't happen on its own.
yeah,
It was like at the bottom, it was maybe, I don't know, 6 inches off the ground, something like that.
there goes Bailey again. um, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's an amazing experience to have them close to your properties and and you do it better than anyone communicate with them and kind of get into their heads a little bit and what they're thinking, and I don't know. You document it so well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that happened yesterday morning was kind of a communication thing. And it's like, it's still hard for you, like for me, even though it's been going on for so long, and it's still hard for me to believe it's happening. Sometimes it's like, but I think they are communicating with objects, and I wish more people would do that. Like I've got the dolls that symbolize us,
Right,
and Annabelle, and we got Jim's truck in the car, and so they can associate and communicate with those objects,
right.
things, and then the Bigfoot dolls,
Well, I mean,
and if you
for a
look back
while,
in my videos,
the gym doll was getting knocked down for a while,
oh
and
yeah,
yeah, but now I mean, that don't happen so much now. It's like he's been accepted or whatever, right? I mean,
yeah,
I think
yeah, they
it's
just,
important to do stuff like that, and I mean, Mine just ain't into that for some reason. They'd rather bring a dead rat.
Well, yeah, now you got to find a Rick doll out there somewhere.
I don't think they make any.
I mean, I've been doing that a long time, way back. I can't remember. It wasn't like right at the beginning, but pretty far back. And they were several times took like my doll and their dolls, and they would put, like, they had one of the Bigfoot dolls behind a rock on the ground, and they had, you know, mine placed a certain place. It was just like they were like saying, "We hide behind a rock and watch you," type thing. Stuff is just like,
Right.
wow.
It's a form of communication. I mean, it really
Mm-hmm.
is. It's maybe a simple form of it, but it's still a form of communication, and it's interesting. Like they bring stuff like deer around here, and it just happens to be whenever I go out deer hunting, or the turkeys. Whenever I go out turkey hunting, they'll bring turkey feathers or a chunk of turkey meat and lay it on my side by side while I'm in here sleeping. It's
Yeah.
it's. I think it's them showing us that, hey, we're watching you. We know what you're up to.
Yeah, and they probably have observed you hunting and know that you like that kind of thing. So,
Right.
bring you a gift, and plus, food,
Right.
whatever.
Counting coup is what the Native Americans used to do. Some tribes had a stick, it was called a coup stick. And instead of, killing their enemy, they would go up and touch the enemy. It was a way to show how brave one of the warriors were. That that they could touch the enemy and not kill them, spare their lives or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, that's not exactly what Bigfoot's doing, but it's a certain form of it, I guess. They're seeing what they can get away with, showing how brave they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's sneaky.
I know they've done things here, like, I remember them coming to the railing and doing something. And then I walked over by back there by the pine tree and stuff at the corner of the yard, took a picture of the sky or something. And when I came back to the railing, there was something else happened. And it was like within minutes. So it's just like, yeah, they're liking to live a little dangerously, I think. Doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get a kick out of it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they got a sense of humor. The one time I was, and I mean, I was live at the time, and I feel blessed I even got it. Whenever they threw the little stuffed animal and knocked the buckets over out there and ran off laughing about it. Laughing about it, laughing. Okay.
That's good. That's funny.
I mean, dogs don't laugh, bears don't laugh. You know what? A booger laughing about something, showing a sense of humor. They've showed that they get mad. They've showed the time I shot the chicken. They showed did that mournful wail. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, even cats and dogs have a sort of emotions, and
Right,
you know what I'm
but
saying.
they don't laugh. I don't guess. I do remember
No.
a dog whenever I was little. We called it Smiley because he'd go around smiling all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as doing something just to get a laugh out of it, I've never seen a dog do that. I don't guess.
No. Yeah, they definitely have a sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely, like, you hear stories about someone passes and their cat grieves itself or a dog grieves itself or whatever. I'm sure they get attached to people and have emotional feelings like that, but not like we do.
Hmm.
So I don't
Well,
know.
I feel like Bigfoots are. I mean, they're somewhere between us and the most. How to put it? The primates that are the most similar to us that we know of that are documented. They're
Yeah,
somewhere between them and us in their intelligence and all that stuff.
I mean,
So,
yeah. I mean, I have no clue what they are. The only thing I know for sure is they're just another creation of God. But
right.
what exactly they are, I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of theories out there from being part human to the giants that the Bible talks about to Nephilim, and people can talk about that, and that's fine. Everybody can have an opinion on something, but nobody knows for sure. There's been DNA studies that I find interesting, but I don't know. For whatever reason, the government don't want us to know what it is, and that's kind of the scary, odd part to me.
Yeah, that doesn't. It's just like, why?
I mean, they know
Why?
what it is. They know what's going on. They know. I mean, they might not know exactly what it is, but they know they're real. So why they hide it for? I mean, we're grown folks. Treat us like grown people. That's all I ask. Don't lie to us.
Hmm.
Tell us something's not real when thousands of people have seen them. We know they're real. But anyway.
Yeah, you have a right to know what's out there. I mean, if they know, they should tell you so you can prepare yourself. you know,
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
it.
Some people say that they don't want to know. Well, I mean, I want to know what's out there. That would be like telling people that there's no such thing as a rattlesnake, and then they go out there wearing flip flops and shorts and get bit by a rattlesnake in the woods. I
Hmm.
mean, it could be that dangerous. I'm not saying that boogers are monsters that's going to attack you every time you go out in the woods, because I don't
Hmm.
I don't think that's what they do. I think they know better than that. I think they know that if they, like the child that went missing, if they seen what happened, people was all in the woods. So if that was a booger that had that child, they stuck that child where then people would find them, so they would leave them alone, get out of our woods.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to address something. A lot of people think I'm one of what they call a flute player. You know what I mean? As far as thinking.
You're a musician. I didn't know that.
No, I mean like
Okay,
thinking
and
that
and I'm
Bigfoots
not.
are all fluffy and
Yeah, your force
you
friend,
know,
right?
yeah. I mean, and I think generally they are not aggressive generally, but they're all they're all individuals and they all have different personalities. I know that, and I mean, just because mine are friendly doesn't mean one isn't going to come from somewhere else and you know not be. So you do have to be careful, and I know that, but they are definitely not this horrible monster that some people make them out to be. Like they're all just gonna kill you and eat you. And
Yeah, and they attack you every time you go out in the woods. And oh
yeah.
boy, I just survived another Bigfoot attack. Woo, that was a tough one. Yeah, I
I'll
mean,
tell you, if they wanted to kill me, I've been in the woods so many times by myself, or they could have done anything they wanted, and they haven't.
oh,
And Jim's
absolutely.
kids were
Yeah,
here forever playing in the woods, and they never, hurt them or took them or anything. But I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen, but
yeah.
I
Well, I
think in
mean,
general
again,
they're gonna leave you alone
I think
most
they've
of the
got
time.
different personalities, and some of them could be buttholes. I mean,
Right.
and we're. I think that's one of the dangers that people feeding them. They will associate people with food, plus people was going out and giving them sweets and stuff like that. Well, they can't go to a dentist, and the sweets could decay their teeth. And once a wild critter don't have any teeth, then we're easy pickings.
Hmm.
I mean, most people you see walking down the road or staring at their phone or ain't got a clue what's going on around them. But I mean, yeah, that's what I was telling the guys. Like, dude, I grew up around here and grew up in the woods. I would go up here and sleep out for a couple of days up in the rock cliffs, and there would be rocks tossed in there at night. I mean, so much so that I would get out of the rock cliff and shine my light up at the top of the rock cliff looking. Is the rock falling in on me? You know what I mean? The cave
Mhm.
falling in or something. But I'd be sitting, laying back and just listening, and rocks would be flying in. And, you know, if they wanted me, they could definitely have me. I had no clue what they was even real or even
Mhm.
what a Bigfoot was. Growing up,
Yeah.
I had no interest at all in Bigfoot at all. I mean, I would watch like the Monster Quest. I think those were pretty good and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But I never really got into finding Bigfoot. It was interesting to hear people tell the stories and stuff like that. That was interesting to me whenever I was first learning all this. But uh, yeah, I didn't have any interest. Didn't even know they was real. It wasn't on my radar whenever it first started happening.
And a lot of the stories that you hear where they got aggressive, a lot of times the person was doing something
Right.
to irritate them, or or to scare them, you know.
Well, the
So
only reason I think they started in here is because we had the logging done. We was
yeah.
the crew was up there, and the crew that did the logging would leave trash out everywhere, and you got all this loud machinery going, plus you're cutting down all these trees, and
Mhm.
I mean the trees were dying out anyways. The only reason we had the logging done, they were selective logging. They didn't go in there and clear out the whole thing, but I think that's what got them stirred up around here.
Mhm.
But yeah, I
We
think
really,
I think they can judge a person like a dog can tell if it don't want nothing to do with somebody, or hey, this is a pretty good person. I'll let them pet me. I'm not saying a Bigfoot's gonna come up and let you pet him, but they can, they might throw a rock at you or something. Oh Lord. But yeah, I mean that's what it kills me when people say that about you, because I know you're not like that. I mean, I've been up there and we've talked. You're one of the first people I met, and I think it was a blessing of God that I met you on there, because you're a down to earth, reasonable person that don't see Bigfoot in everything, and you're not out trying to be best friends with Bigfoot, give him a hug or anything. You're
well, I
just
would like to do that, but
you're not gonna get your back snapped. There's no way. Well, good luck with it. Take a video camera, and maybe
yeah.
maybe Jim can upload that for us.
I mean, isn't all of our, like, well, maybe not, but
Heck no, I don't want to hug a
I mean,
Bigfoot.
isn't our goal like to sit down with them and just hang out and chat and find out what they're doing, and
I, don't,
you know
I can
that'd be
honestly
pretty
say I
nice.
don't think that's ever crossed my mind. I would like to see one and get a better look at one, but I don't want to go up and shake his hand or nothing. I mean, I would, it'd be great to be able to get so comfortable with them that they could come out and play, and you could watch and see what they're doing, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And man, if they want to
yeah.
bring me a flower or something, have at it. But I mean, I don't want to be best friends with them. Like, hey,
I'd
let's.
rather be their friend than their enemy.
Well, I don't want to take them to McDonald's or anything like that, and sit down and drink a beer with Bigfoot. I don't know. That might be interesting. I've never really thought about it. I don't guess.
Well, people kind of get on me sometimes about, oh, you're being too friendly, and this and that and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, okay, they're living here with us no matter what. So I'd rather be their friend than their enemy,
Oh, definitely.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely don't like what I try to say is to respect them. You give them respect, and it seems to be working here. They haven't hit my house or anything in a long time, but like for instance, whenever you go out, you don't mess up with their structures and stuff like that. The guy I
Right.
talked to tonight said that they was building these structures and stuff on at the tree line, and I told him those were human observation posts. And he said he went and cut them up, and that's whenever they started getting aggressive and screaming and stuff at him. So I was like, yeah, dude, that's their stuff. I mean, that's you tore down their stuff, now they're going to hit your house.
Right. Yeah, that's very important to respect them
Yeah, I think
because
If a tree's down across my trail, then I'm gonna cut that tree out. But as far as going and destroying their structure, something that they built, I think they're beautiful actually. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of them's pretty elaborate if you get in there and you study on them, and it's hard to
Yeah,
convey
works of
that on a
art.
video. But a lot of them's pretty nice, pretty intricate.
I mean, even when I find a stick stuck in the ground, I don't really like to pull it out. Sometimes I do just to make sure that's what it is, but it's
Right.
like I don't like to mess up their stuff. It's just rude.
Man, that one tree I found stuck in the ground, I had to try to pull up on it. That thing was shoved in there deep, like a foot deep. It was amazing to me,
Hmm.
the strength it took to do that.
Yeah, I love those. Those are one of my favorite things to find.
Yeah. I found them stuck out here in the yard, which I know you have too. Y'all found another deer antler up there too, which I thought was odd that they're shedding their antlers in your yard.
Right?
And
That was weird.
yeah, well, I find them out here in my yard, and I know deer don't come in my yard. They might come up around the barn and stuff, but not up here in the yard. I've never found a deer track out here in the yard.
I've
No.
never found an antler, an antler in the yard. Now we found one. We came home from vacation one time, and I think the next day we came home from somewhere that we had gone, and on one of the hay bales right there beside the driveway was an antler, a shed that was right up on top of the hay bale. So there was that, and then that one back there that Braxton found. It's almost like maybe, I'm not saying they did, but
Yeah.
maybe they put it there for them to find, but who knows?
Right.
I mean, you don't know, but crossed my mind anyway. But I do think they left the one on the hay bale because we asked people, did you put that there?
Yeah, it would have to be a deer's not going to get up there and shade its antler.
No, those are really high up off the ground.
Right. I remember whenever I went down to your place with the cow skeleton, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Hmm. Oh, how about that deer that we found out there at the lake with the legs all broken and
Yeah, yeah. And I found a few around here in the kill boxes or whatever. It's I think that's one of the things they do is grab a leg and smack them up against a tree or break it, and that's one of their ways to dispatch a deer.
I know that sometimes people have found bone piles. I've never found those yet. Have you found any?
That one, yeah,
They'll neatly stack them up.
yeah. I got a video where I found the one where it looked like it had been over the bank, and I found all that blood and stuff, and then all the bones were piled up at the top.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll send you that video. I don't know if you missed it or whatever. I think I found a deer skull actually on down in there, but the bones were stacked up. Not not in any kind of design, but all placed in a pile.
Now, I did find in the back, I went down mushroom hunting a couple years ago, and I was like crawling around. It was like, thick and stuff, and to get through some spots, and I found some deer. There was at least 3 of the skulls, and then there were other bones. It was almost like it was a place where they either sat and ate their kills, or I don't know, but it was
Yeah,
weird.
we found that possum down there too.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see that, but
Oh, that's right. You was up on the hill, wasn't you?
yeah.
Someone mentioned the Carter Farms, Janice Carter Coy, and I think
Uh-huh.
I think that's a real thing.
You
At
mean
least,
the
at least
Carter?
yeah, at least most of it. Yeah, the Carter Farm, the Habituation Fox and the crew. A
There's
lot of
no way
that.
to know for sure, but all I know is a lot of the things she mentioned I have noticed here.
Yeah,
And
and
I
that's way before anybody else was talking about it.
yeah, like the thing about the tomatoes and them coming and
Uh huh.
eating, taking up one bite out of a tomato and then eating, they'd be like doing that with several tomatoes. I've
Right.
seen that here.
Yeah, that happened here last year. And the tomatoes were all piled in one spot too. They come off different plants going up and down the row, and would take one bite out of them and put them in a pile. There's a couple of piles. It was so weird.
Yeah, just little things like that if you have them with you and your property, you'll.
But you got to think that the grandfather had actually found the one whenever it was little and kind of was, there its whole life and raised him, and that, would be a comfortable situation. And some of the stuff that they talk about is pretty wild and kind of far fetched. But the way I look at it, man, anything's possible.
Yeah, well, they must. I mean, he probably bonded with it.
Right.
So now, was that the one that he took it in, and it started like tearing the house up or something?
Didn't he keep it? Yeah. But he found it whenever it was real little, and then I guess Janice and her sister moved in with him, or the whole family moved down there. It's like kind of like a farm situation. And that was back, I guess it's different now. There's more houses and stuff down around there now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of that's legit. I mean, it's hard for me to buy some of it, but if I knew for sure it was true, it really wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
The 50 Years with Bigfoot was the book. Remember, you sent that to me on some kind of thing where you could read it online.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one channel came out with where somebody read it off like an audio book or whatever, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read the book, some kind of book right. Or something.
Jay said they cut down a tree and it fell on Fox, the little one. Then the old man got it and nursed him back to health or something like that. I'd have to read it again before I could elaborate too much on it.
Yeah. Lane says maybe they're taking one bite to be polite. Actually, that could be because I've noticed that they will a lot of times just take, like, if you put two things out, like I put 2 cookies out one time. They took one, but they left the other one.
Right.
And there was I put 3 chicken wings or something out. This was back when I put stuff on the railing like that. And they would only take one, make sure that they were being fair about it. Letting you have yours.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, man. That might be part of their culture, but as far as I'm concerned, taking one bite out of every ripe tomato is just a waste, and I can't do that with the tomatoes after that.
I know, right?
So I'd rather they leave my tomatoes alone, or leave me some of them anyway.
But I mean, I've seen that behavior a lot in the interactions where they're really kind and a little bit sweet and most of the time they'll respect your property. I think sometimes when they borrow tools, they bring them back usually.
Right, or switch them out and move on. Sneaky birds. That's what fascinates me about yours is they've got an obsession with the tools.
Mm-hmm. Boy, if you leave the garage door open, they're in there.
Yeah. I mean, they took hammers and a rake one time from here and different things like that, and they do always bring them back. Or I don't know, it's pretty. What do they need them for? While they working on it. Oh, excuse me.
I was thinking about when you were talking about that guy saying that they were moving the stuff around. It made me think of the snow shovel that we had on the front porch, and it started out. If you walk up on the porch, it was on the left side of the door, and then the next day they moved it to the right side of the door, and then they moved it down off the porch, down by the garage door. It's like, why are they doing it? Are they telling us to get rid of it, or it doesn't belong up on the porch?
Right.
It's just funny stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like their OCD about things.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. I've heard that they like sweet feed. They've actually got my barn and got the deer corn out before whenever I haven't put the horn out for the deer. Yep, they got my cantaloupe. That sucked. Hello, looking up.
Yeah, hi.
But they can be brats at first. Have you seen Lady in the Woods? Speaking of brats, Lady in the Woods has them on her property in, let me get this right, in Oklahoma. She's got a piece of property up there, but she also is next to Fort Chaffee in Arkansas, and they're doing maneuvers down there. And every time they do maneuvers, she has activity around her house in Oklahoma, and she's having it right now.
Hmm.
So she
Wonder
went
why.
live. She went live. Well, I guess where they're over there shooting guns and letting off bombs or whatever they're doing. The Army's doing on the maneuvers drives them out of there because the rest of the time it just sits there and it's quiet and there's no people there trespassing and stuff like that. So whenever they're over there doing the maneuvers, they move out of that area and go to a different area until the
Hmm.
Army's done playing their games.
How far is it between her where she lives and the property they go to?
Oh, it's in a
Is it?
different state. I mean, I think it's over an hour, maybe a couple hours. I don't know. I don't know if she's still on here or not.
How big of a range do you think yours go? Do you have any idea?
Man, it's hard to say. I've come up
Yeah.
I've come up with different opinions on this several times, and every time I think I figure something out, they do something different. Show me how
Mm-hmm.
show me how ignorant I am. But I mean, I don't know. I guess it's whatever they can hold because I think that they live in family units, run by an alpha male and maybe an alpha female or a couple of females or whatever, and then the younger ones. And there's different families here and there, and I guess whatever area they can hold, they'll keep. So I mean, if it's
Mm-hmm.
uh, it'd have to be a pretty good size area because they have to eat a lot, right, to be so big.
Mm-hmm.
they have
Yeah.
to they have to keep themselves fed. So if they stayed in one area, then they would eat up all the food and all the plants and everything, and they would have to move on. But they keep coming back, and it's kind of like they're conservationists or whatever. They take what they need and then they move on, kind of like you was talking
Mm-hmm.
about on the tomato deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many acres. It depends on the land. Around here, I'm guessing around 20 to 30 square mile, maybe.
Yeah. That's kind of what I've been thinking too. Something like that. I know we were down at not the lake we live closest to, but the other one. We were down there in the woods and we heard that owl sound that we hear all the time.
Yeah.
That very specific one was down there, so I really kind of think that was one of mine down there. And it's not real far, but it's further than the other lake, anyways. But it's hard
Did
to say.
Did you see whenever they had the garbage or not garbage bags, but like the Walmart bags scattered in the yard
Yeah,
here? Someone wants to know what do you think that was about? Because I know you've got recordings, and it sounds like they've got a bag or something.
I don't know. I mean, like MK Davis was saying that Patty was carrying something
Right.
in her left hand. They probably make use of things like that they find.
I
And,
don't see why they wouldn't. I mean,
mm-mm.
people find odd things. Well, I mean, do they just carry stuff all the time in their hands, like they bring stuff to you, or they just pack it around their hands, or would they use a bag to tote something with? I think it's highly likely they would use a bag to tote it with.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then I've often wondered with the things they bring here, like, do they have a stash they keep somewhere? So they probably
Right.
keep it. Some of the stuff's pretty clean. So like they're keeping it in something. And I remember somebody, I don't know if somebody told an experience. I can't remember who it was, but they were out and they found like somebody, like one of their stashes, and they had stuff in a old Coke bottle.
Right.
Like a 2-liter type deal or something, I think's what it was. So,
Yes.
I mean, just think how easy it is to find that stuff along the side of the road, or, you know,
Lane just
people throw their garbage out all the time.
right. Yeah, I think they're they if they got to use for something, they'll use it. Lane just mentioned about what was it I can't remember what he titled the video now. I'm having brain fog. MK filmed one washing something out like a bag in the creek.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was after they had a bunch of fires down there around Bluff Creek, and maybe it was something one of the firefighters left behind. And he also found that fetus thing there at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it definitely had something manipulating it. And you can hear knocks in the video, and that's what the recent dust up over the PG film and stuff. And I don't think people's paying attention to the real evidence. And I mean, they're coming up with off the wall comments like MK Davis isn't he's a laptop researcher or whatever they call him. Whenever the man actually does get out, and I guarantee he's done way more in his life than you and I combined going to different places and researching.
Oh, definitely. I, I'm pretty sure I remember him saying that he's been to Bluff Creek like 15 times. Do you
Right.
remember that?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he goes to Honey Island all the time
I mean,
and Lovelock Caves.
Yeah, he's hiked way back in there and stuff. He's definitely not just an armchair
Yeah, the creek
researcher.
crosser.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean that's just people throwing that out there, and I just people should just look at the evidence of the video and ask themselves why the video was put out in a degraded form. It wasn't put out in its best form to the public. To this day, it hasn't been put out in its best form to the public. There's a few frames from the video that MK's got his hands on that do tell a different story. So why would they put out a degraded and manipulated footage? I mean, that's one of the questions I have.
Mm-hmm.
That and the shadows,
Yeah.
mostly the shadows. Why is there summertime shadows on October the 20th, 1967?
Yeah, there are a lot of questions that need answered.
Yeah, there's
And it's
a
not
lot of
like he's just
questions.
pulling this stuff out of his butt.
Right. Yeah,
he's got a lot of evidence.
he's got a lot of radio transcripts and court documents, and he's chased down a lot of leads and has all that recorded. There's a lot of evidence, and a lot of people say that Bob Gimlin's the only guy that's still alive that was there, and that's a possibility. But I think there was way more than two folks there that day. And I think the part that people's not understanding is MK's never said that Bob Gimlin shot anything.
No, I mean, I agree.
Yeah, he's never said that. Someone else actually started the massacre deal, but what he's brought out in the film is, like the red hole. That's definitely not the creek. That's definitely something's being dug out. And for something to be dug out like that, has to have a big piece of machinery to dig it out.
Mm-hmm.
And machinery didn't have to be flight in there. I mean, there's pictures of trucks, logging trucks and jeeps, and there's tracks on the ground from machinery. There's a guy that's reported his backhoe was borrowed, to put it lightly, and so the story just don't add up.
Well, I don't think anybody should disrespect Bob or MK.
No, I don't either. I don't either. I think that people ought to pray for them both. I think we ought to find the truth out about it. And if the truth is that two cowboys happened to ride down into a creek and filmed a Bigfoot that was totally not acting like a Bigfoot, okay, well, that's the story. But it's not adding up. But yeah, I think the timeline basically is how it's going is that Al Hodgins was the one that was calling the Hendon and all them to tell them that what he's looking for is back down here because the logging company was having a hard time keeping their workers on site.
Mhm.
And so he called them down there. They came down there with the tracking dogs. They say the dogs lost the track or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Went back home. And then he calls Patterson. And Patterson starts heading that way. Well, he called the others. He didn't want to call Patterson whenever the guys were there the first time. But Patterson said, okay, I'm on my way. It took him about a day to get down there. He called the other guys back. And within 24 hours, they came back down. I think that Patterson-Gimlin might have happened upon the other team there while they were doing whatever they was doing.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what MK has said.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's what's going on, and
Mhm.
I don't know if people don't want to look at the evidence and see that the story that we're given doesn't add up, then that's fine. But to just go out and attack somebody for trying to shed some light and ask them questions is just it's silly,
Yeah.
in my opinion. What are y'all talking about there? Oh, the homesteading. I'm tired of the homesteading dude. People, he's pulling your leg, okay?
Oh, that guy! You guys have been I've been
Yeah, I
watching
haven't.
that.
Have you? I haven't watched it in a couple of weeks because
I mean, just
it's
a little
just
bit,
he's not
but
being very serious about it, and
no, it's hard
there
to tell if he's serious or not serious. Or I mean, he's
it's
definitely not being serious now.
it's kind of like
I
a
just
Peter
want.
Kane, just not as gross, and maybe not as far fetched as Peter Kane either. But I think he's having
Yeah.
a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
All right, Mister Duffy, I unblocked you, but we will not have no cussing. Prende. But yeah, I think he's just
Well,
having a go. But yeah, I haven't watched him in a while.
yeah.
And I'm not saying not to watch the guy. You know what I mean? If you enjoy that sort of thing, go for it. I just don't watch him because I kind of think that if he is not being sincere about it, it it could turn out dangerous for somebody else that's looking for, like the guy that I talked to tonight. You know, that knows nothing about him, and then you got this guy in there putting on a show. I think that might could be dangerous.
I think he needs to state his opinion. If he wants to joke about it, some fine. But
Yeah,
he
just
also
say it's
needs to
satire.
say, this is what I think, and, I might be joking about it sometimes, but I really do think this is happening. He needs to clear that up a little bit.
Yeah, I think he should come right out with it. I mean, and yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. That's a good response. See, you're much
Plus,
better at this than
also,
I am.
huh?
I said you're much better at that than I am. I just don't think. I mean, yeah, he ought to state his intent. I mean, if he is having activity, then that's one thing. But uh, I don't know. It could be dangerous unless he's telling people. I don't know. I don't even know what he's doing, to be honest with you, because I haven't been
I've only
watching him.
watched a few of his videos, and there at first it seemed like he was just wondering what the heck was going on, and now it's like he's taken off with it or something. It's like going, making the most of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Bless his heart if that's it. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe there should be some viewer discretion. Maybe use a little discernment. I don't know. He's not the worst of them for sure.
Yeah, that Peter Kane guy. It's
He's
just like,
yeah. I've watched some of his videos and some of it is comical, but then man, he goes too far and gets pretty gross with stuff. And it's the same
mm-hmm.
thing with the Richter Riolo guy. Sometimes he can be funny as can be, but then he goes too far and gets totally gross and disgusting. And I don't like to watch it.
Right. That's what I think too.
I mean, I'll joke and I'll carry on about certain things, but I'm not going to come straight out and lie about something unless it's obvious that I'm lying about it. Like I'm gonna be honest right now. My cats really ain't booger attack kitties. They really ain't.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you. They're really not.
Doggone it. I was trying to train mine.
Well, I'll sell you one. No, they really aren't. But I
I
don't
did
know.
have a cat. Well, yours follow you out in the woods and stuff with you, but we had a cat. Actually, it was Amy's, my gray and white cat. That's mine. Was her mom, and she would go for walks with us in the woods and stuff. So well, they do kind of do that sometimes, but I don't think they're going to attack Bigfoot for you.
Right. Oh, I'm not trying to rip the guy. I'm just saying that I don't watch his videos, and I don't think he's very serious about it. I'll give my opinion on whomever asked. Notice I didn't say nothing about crypto reality, but I do think that he has them in his area too. But I think a lot of it might be a bit of the pareidolia.
Yeah.
So I'll try to be careful about that with mine.
That's so, yeah. I mean, like that series I'm doing right now, where we just look for them, and it's just, it's something fun to do. And maybe there will be something good in there, maybe they won't, but the thing is that they do hide so well, and they do, like, if, let's say their hair is translucent and all that, maybe they do have that really good blending in thing, so, why not look? You never know what you might find, but there is so much pareidolia that it's like, oh, geez.
Well, I mean, if you do get a picture of something, and I know you've done it before, if you do get a picture of something and some of it looks really good, I mean, you can see a face and you're looking at it and look at it and you see a face, go back and take a follow up picture of it. See
Yeah.
if the face appears. Get in there and look at it and see what it
Well,
is.
that's what the jumper that I recorded behind me when I was walking. That one, I went back to I knew exactly where it was and looked, and there was nothing there, so.
Right.
That is
Well, one of
really,
my best sightings, and it was, still a pretty crappy sighting, the one that ran across the trail. I was going back to debunk something else somebody seen in a video. And instead of going left, I went right. And I did debunk that video. There wasn't nothing there. It was a shadow. And, that's what happens.
mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're going to put
Yeah.
something out there, then make sure, and show up, get in there and look, see if you can find any tracks or hair or something like that, or a place where something had been. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Because what you're
Like, I'm
seeing on
looking at,
camera is not what you're seeing in real life. I mean, it looks different. The digital breakup or whatever can make things look like it's there when it's not there.
yeah, yeah. And I'll have people send me pictures from my videos, and some of them I just know it's not anything. But then some, like the last one that I put in with that Annabelle video, that one looked pretty good to me because there's nothing in the grass like that.
Yeah, that's the way she was acting. That's crazy. Why do you think? Because, and going back to the 3-year-old boy, do you think there's some kind of fascination there that, that kids can see him easier somehow? Maybe.
I think the kids just don't have their minds
Programmed.
like they don't know. Yeah, like, okay, Bigfoots aren't real. Like,
Right.
plus their mind just isn't as cluttered as ours, and they just more simply look at things, I think.
Right.
So.
I mean, that's possible. I mean, like the guy was talking. I think he said he's 54 years old, and been his whole life, never thought they was real, which I can relate. I was what 37 before anything started happening here, and I never gave the first thought to Bigfoot. You're told your whole life that it's not real. So, all right, I guess. Mr. Duffy, this is, and I hate to do it, dude. I mean, but I'm putting you in timeout. One more time, you're blocked, and you're not coming back. But anyway, I think that I don't know. There's something about kids, and they're not programmed like we are. We're told our whole life something's not real, when indeed it is real.
Mm-hmm. Plus, the Bigfoots probably know that they can't communicate with us. They just know they're more innocent, and probably it wouldn't hurt for them to let them see them like it would for an adult. It wouldn't be as dangerous.
Too. Right.
Huh?
That's a possibility too.
Yeah.
And they're not as threatening, and that's like you gals. I mean, I think that you all like you notice more stuff, way more stuff than I do, and I think that boogers might not look at you all as threatening as guys. Which I'm not saying girls don't go out and hunt and stuff, but on average, men do it more. We're out shooting guns and acting stupid a lot. They don't, they might not like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like in almost all wildlife, the primates and stuff, it's not, women trying to take over the clan, or it's other males. So
Right.
even like, a human male, that would be more threatening to them, I would think.
I mean, yeah, they could relate it like that. I mean, it's just the simple fact we don't know much about them.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. I mean, it sucks that we live underneath a rule that treats us like children, lies to us, and won't be straight up and honest about it. I don't know why they do it. I don't know if it's over money, religion, or what, but they do it.
Yeah.
Treat us like kids. It sucks, and we pay them for it. We pay them for it. It's crazy. This is a crazy society we live in.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, anything else? Lord, it's after 1 o'clock. Anything else you want to talk about? Or
Whoa.
I know this is real late for you.
Actually, the last couple nights I've been going to bed like 20 after 2.
I figured you was Jim probably had you on suicide watch whenever the boogers wasn't coming around, and
yeah.
Now that they're coming around, you're up all the time looking for them. They probably found you distracted right now and done something, huh?
So I've been sitting in the corner sucking my thumb,
rocking back and forth. And the sad part, folks, is that it's not far from the truth. Because it does. I mean, I don't know. It's a special type of thing that goes on. I mean, this is an unknown species, something you're told is not there, but it is there, and for whatever reason, they've picked us to mess with. And that's why people get mad if you. I don't know. I know you don't show yourself on camera a lot, and you don't disclose your location. And I'm about the same way, and I mean, it's just you want to try to keep it pure and from people coming in and messing with you or whatever. That's I was talking to that guy about that too. That's why I don't show myself. What if a neighbor kid happened to watch my video and say, "Hey, let's go mess with this guy," and then this guy comes out of the house and shoots somebody because they're acting stupid out here on my property at 1 o'clock in the morning. That would be bad.
Yeah, it's just best, I think, if especially local people don't know who you are.
Right. Well,
it's been fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling. So So I guess you'll have a new video out that you're working on it. We'll watch it.
I don't have anything like in the works a lot. I'm working on some stuff, but probably be a couple days.
Right.
That picture I sent you, I'm not sure about. I keep thinking here's something, and then I look and it's like, no.
Well,
I haven't decided yet.
But you know me, I'm bad at picking them out anyway. But once you kind of showed it, and then I got to look. Whenever I first seen the picture, I didn't even realize it was Annabelle in the picture. To be honest with you, I was like, "What is that thing up front?" But I was looking in the background and kind of didn't register for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm sick. You gotta look over me.
Well, I figure if that would be a good place to look since she was acting like she saw something in there. So
yeah,
I figured I'd go through the video and check it out.
Yeah, and I was talking to Jim the other day on the messenger, and we might work something out where y'all come down here this time. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
But all right, Miss Ange, tell Jim we said hi. Tell your boogers we said hi.
Okey-doke.
Get out there and document and film a booger.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Good night.
All right. Night.
All right, guys. I guess that's it. Mr. Duffy, again, I put you in timeout. You're not blocked. But if it happens again, dude, sorry, man. I do like you. We try to keep it civil and nice here. And we're not going to have all that mess. Everybody else, y'all have a good night. And again, like the channels we was talking about, if you like the channel, like them and watch them. I just happen not to watch it because I don't really buy into it. But anyway, that's me. Everybody's got their own opinions. I'm usually wrong anyway. Everybody have a good night. Tomorrow I'm going to try to talk to the neighbor. God bless.